We've all heard them. The golden rules of personal finance. Never have credit card debt. Always buy, never rent. But what if blindly following these rules is actually holding you back? Today, we're breaking 5 money rules that might be hurting your finances more than helping them. We have all heard the rules. They are passed down from our parents, echoed by financial gurus on television, and repeated by well-meaning friends over coffee. Never carry a balance on your credit card. Renting is throwing money away. Save, save, save for retirement. These phrases feel like unshakable laws of the universe, as certain as gravity. But what if these rules, these pillars of conventional wisdom, are not always right? This is perhaps the most frequently cited commandment in the personal finance Bible. The very words, credit card debt, conjure images, spiraling interest payments, harassing phone calls from collectors, a financial hole so deep it seems impossible to escape. The advice to never ever carry a balance is rooted in a very real danger. High-interest consumer debt is a wealth-destroying machine. With average interest rates hovering near 20% or even higher, a small debt can quickly balloon into a massive burden. The fear is legitimate. For many who struggle with overspending, avoiding credit cards altogether might be sound advice. This rule is designed as a guardrail to prevent disaster. However, this absolute prohibition fails to acknowledge strategic, beneficial uses of a credit card. Not all debt is created equal. Not all credit card usage results in paying a single cent of interest. Modern finance offers tools like 0% introductory, annual percentage rate offers. These promotions allow planned purchases paid over set periods, 12 months, 18 months, 21 months, all without incurring any interest charges at all. This can be a game changer for cash flow when you need a new laptop for work, replace a broken refrigerator, or cover an unexpected but necessary expense. The key distinction is between paying interest and simply using credit. The rule should not be never have credit card debt, but rather never pay a penny of credit card interest. When you use a credit card and pay the statement balance in full every single month, you get a short-term, interest-free loan while reaping benefits, cash back, travel rewards, purchase protection, extended warranties. You are using the bank's money for free for a few weeks and getting paid for it. Your action step: automate your way to success and separate the tool from the trap. This is a classic line, often delivered with a sigh of disapproval as if you are setting a pile of cash on fire every month. The logic seems undeniable. When you pay rent, that money is gone forever, whereas a mortgage payment builds equity in an asset you own. The American dream. White picket fence, a home to call your own. Ownership feels permanent. Ownership feels responsible. Ownership feels like a direct path to building wealth. The pressure to buy a house can be immense. Pressure from family, pressure from society, pressure from our own internal desire to hit a life milestone. Buying is seen as the default smart move if you're financially stable. But this simplistic view ignores the full financial picture of homeownership. A mortgage payment is only the beginning. Homeowners are on the hook for property taxes. Homeowners are on the hook for homeowners insurance. Homeowners are often on the hook for private mortgage insurance if they put down less than 20%. And then there is the silent wealth killer: maintenance and repairs. A new roof can cost $10,000. A new HVAC system can cost $8,000. A flooded basement can set you back thousands more. The down payment and closing costs tie up a large sum in an illiquid asset. You can't easily access that money for other investments or emergencies. Renting offers flexibility and financial freedom. Job offer in another city. Move at the end of your lease with minimal hassle. Plumbing breaks? You call the landlord, not your financial problem. Renting gives a predictable fixed housing cost each month. It makes budgeting easier. It frees up capital that would have gone to a down payment and upkeep. That money can be invested in the stock market. It can potentially grow faster than a single-family home's appreciation, especially after accounting for hidden ownership costs. Action step: run the 5-year test. Ask yourself, will I stay here at least 5 years? If no, buying is almost certainly a financial mistake because of high transaction costs. If yes, do a full cost comparison. Use an online rent versus buy calculator. Input mortgage rates, property taxes, insurance and estimated maintenance. Rule of thumb: 1% annually. Then compare to renting and investing the difference. Financial advisors love this one. The advice to aggressively fund your 401k or IRA to the maximum legal limit seems unimpeachable. After all, you get tax advantages, your investments grow sheltered from annual taxes, and you are securing your future. The power of compound growth is a force of nature, and the earlier you start, the more magnificent the results. The math is clear: saving early and often is one of the most reliable ways to build long-term wealth. The mantra is, to pay your future self first. And what better way than funneling every available dollar into these retirement vehicles? The problem with this all-or-nothing approach is that life happens long before 59 and a half, the age at which you can typically withdraw money without penalty. By locking up all of your investment capital, you can limit flexibility for major life goals in your 20s, 30s, and 40s. Do you want to start a business? You will need seed capital. Do you want to take a year off to travel the world? That requires a substantial cash reserve. Do you want to put a down payment on a house? That money needs to be liquid and accessible, not trapped behind a wall of taxes and penalties. A balanced approach recognizes that a rich life includes goals and dreams that exist between today and retirement. Your financial plan should support a variety of goals with different timelines. This means you need different buckets of money. Buckets: emergency fund, midterm, brokerage, retirement, 401k IRA. You need an emergency fund for unexpected crises, short to midterm savings for goals within the next 5 years, and long-term investments for retirement. Funneling everything into that last bucket starves the others, potentially forcing high-interest debt or missed opportunities. Therefore, the smarter action step is a bucket strategy. First, contribute enough to your 401k to get the full employer match. This is an instant guaranteed return you should never pass up. Second, ensure you have a fully funded emergency fund with 3 to 6 months of essential expenses. Third, once those are covered, increase retirement contributions and simultaneously fund a taxable brokerage for pre-60 goals. Liquidity is financial power. Cars are depreciating assets. The moment you drive a new car off the lot, it loses a significant chunk of its value. Financial purists often label any debt to buy a car as bad debt. You are borrowing money and paying interest to buy something that will be worth less over time. This contrasts with good debt, a mortgage for an appreciating asset, or a student loan as an investment in your earning potential. Advice often says, always pay cash for a car. If you cannot afford cash, you cannot afford the car. That rule lacks financial sophistication. It ignores a critical variable, the interest rate. In very low interest environments, financing a car can be strategically brilliant. If a manufacturer offers 0, 0.9, or 2.9% APR, taking that loan can beat liquidating a large chunk of cash. The key concept is opportunity cost. You could invest the cash in a diversified, low-cost index fund. Historically, that fund is likely to return more than the car loan interest. For example, a car loan at 3% interest versus investments averaging 7%. You come out ahead. You're using the bank's cheap money to let your money work harder elsewhere. This becomes a calculated arbitrage opportunity. Caveat: the strategy only works if you're disciplined. Don't let the loan tempt you into a more expensive car, and actually invest the cash you saved. Und store. Read say, don't spend it. Action step: compare returns. Don't just ask if you can pay cash. Find the best available financing rate. Compare that rate to the conservative expected long-term return of your portfolio. If the loan rate is significantly lower, it can make mathematical sense to take the loan and invest the cash. But only buy a car whose total cost and monthly payment fit your budget. Never let a low rate trick you into buying more car than you can afford. The real rule is never let the loan dictate the car you buy. If the math works and you stay disciplined, financing can be smarter than paying cash. According to broad market history, always consider risk and your time horizon. Alright, rule number 5 to question. You absolutely need 20% for a house down payment. The 20% down payment rule is legendary in real estate. The primary reason for its existence is to avoid paying private mortgage insurance, PMI. PMI is an insurance policy that protects the lender, not you. Lenders typically require it below 20% down. It sounds prudent, but it can be misleading. It forces discipline and a solid equity cushion, however. Rigidly adhering can be costly in a rising market. The time to save 20% can be substantial. 5, 7, even 10 years. During that period you are still paying rent and home prices may be appreciating. If prices rise 5% per year, the target is constantly moving. The 20% you need this year is less than what you will need next year. There are numerous programs to make ownership accessible. FHA as low as 3.5%, conventional at 3 to 5%, and VA loans at 0% for those eligible. Yes, you will pay PMI, but do the math. The monthly cost might be less than annual appreciation. Paying PMI to get in sooner can help you start building equity and benefit from appreciation. Actionable. Calculate the true cost of waiting versus buying now with PMI. Do not view PMI only as a penalty. It can be a cost of entry. Compare two scenarios. Buy now with 5% down and PMI for a few years, or continue renting for 5 years saving for 20% while prices and rents rise. Calculate potential equity in scenario 1 versus money spent on rent in scenario 2. If the monthly mortgage with a smaller down payment fits your budget, getting in sooner can be the superior long-term decision. So let's recap. The smarter rules are: 1. Never pay credit card interest, not never have debt. 2. Renting is buying flexibility, not wasting money. 3. Balance retirement with accessible investments. 4. It's about the total cost of the car, not how you pay. 5. Weigh the cost of PMI against the cost of waiting. Personal finance is personal. Understand the why behind the rule, then adapt it to your life. Which of these rules have you broken, or which one are you still scared to question? Let's chat in the comments. Subscribe for nuanced money takes. Next week, the 3 credit card perks most people ignore. Thanks for watching.